Hey, what's going on? Guys, welcome back to my channel. You don't know who I am the Juan and only. Nice to meet you. Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing well. I'm tired, but always making gains. So be sure to exercise every single day if you want the gains, guys. Especially if you're a delivery driver. If you follow me for a while, I used to be a delivery driver. When you're still a delivery driver, do the gym and then cardio at work. Best advice I can give you to lose weight if that's what you want to do. Hey guys, hope you guys are doing well. I know it's been a while since I uploaded. I always got excuses. I'm trying not to, but I always happen to upload late or something happens. I don't know. But today, like I said last time in my last podcast, that we're gonna talk about some murder cases and things like that. Okay. So I think I have two. Hopefully I have all the information I need. So let's get into it. Why not? If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Hit the bell notification and leave a comment down below to help me with the algorithm. I am the Juan and only. Nice to meet you, and let's get started. So the first story comes, I actually heard this on TikTok. I don't know what account. It's one of those cases where, if you ever watch like Mexican shows, they have like a judge and stuff like that, like Judge Judy, kind of, but like in Spanish. I forgot her name, but it's one of the judges' cases where they sit there, they explain their case, and then the judge decides what's gonna happen in the case. But anyways, this case was kind of different, weird. It was extremely like, why would that happen? Anyway, so I don't remember the lady's name, so I'm just gonna call her the lady. So this lady was in court, right? Her husband was trying to get a divorce from her in custody of her child. So apparently the reason was something tragic happened to them. So what happened was, one day the lady was walking down the street. She lived in Mexico. One day she was walking down the street, and then she had two children, right? One baby was on a stroller or walking with her, I forgot what, and the other baby was right next to her, so walking around. So he was old enough to walk. So the child was walking with his mother, and then I'm not sure what happened, but I believe the other baby had either walked around the corner of a building and then moved forward and got out of her sight of vision. So she ran after that child and got that child back, right? So it was like, oh my God, where are you going? You're supposed to stay with me, blah, blah, blah. When the mother came back, because she had left the other child because the other one ran off, right? She went around the corner, got that child. As soon as she came back, the other child was missing. It was a baby. It was a boy. I call him a baby, but he's probably like, I'd say 5 or 6 or 7, something like that. The baby was missing. So the mother was looking around and around, looking around, couldn't find the kid. I was so worried, oh my God, somebody just took my child. My child disappeared. And imagine how crazy it would have been if you were just walking and out of nowhere your child just wasn't there anymore, right? So she was so worried, so freaked out, and then a neighbor had come out of their home and talked to the mother like, she was frantic and was asking for help. And then the lady was like, another lady, a neighbor, like I said earlier, said, you have to be very careful because nowadays people are kidnapping children and taking them to the border. And I don't know what they're doing with them, but they're taking them to the border. So as a mother, that she was worried, she was like scared. She drove to the border and she called the police, right? She called the police, told them that she was going to the border, met at the border. And as soon she got there, and I believe that she had a description of the car that had taken them because other people saw what had happened, what had gone down. She had a description of a truck, right? So the mother told the police actually found the truck heading towards the border. And then I need to stop saying then anyways, gotcha. So the police found the truck going towards the border. The police was heading towards that truck, and the people inside the truck got out and just took off. Right? They just took off, and that's from what I remember. They took off. I'm pretty sure they caught them, but they took off and they found the child in the back of in the back seat of the truck. Right? So they found the child and all this, and the mother was so relieved. The police officer came to the mother, said, "We found your child, but I don't think you want to look or whatever." But she was like, "I want to look. That's my baby. I want to look. I want to go see him. Let me see my child." So they let her. He looked like he was asleep. He wouldn't wake up. She called him. He wouldn't wake up. She called him. He wouldn't wake up. They turned the child around and saw that he had like stitches down his body, right? And come to realize the officers found that they had stuffed the child with, I believe, 10 pounds of cocaine. So they had cut him open, took out everything inside, and then stuffed them. Dude, and that's a true story, like a real true story. That is insane. The most craziest things that you would never want something to happen, and it happens to somebody, and it's just crazy, dude. Imagine you have your child one day and then the next day he's dead and stuff with drugs because they want to smuggle drugs over the border. That is crazy, dude. People and can be so brutal. All right, so that was the first one, guys. Sorry if it was boring. I tried to make it as detailed as possible from what I remember. Hope your skin didn't crawl. Sorry if you didn't like the story, but that is an actual story that happened. The next case is of 19-year-old Marlen Ochoa Lopez. This case happened in 2019. So Marlen Ochoa Lopez was a teenager. I believe she wasn't even 18 yet. She had gotten pregnant, right? So she met her boyfriend Giovanni when she was younger, and she got pregnant at like 15 or something like that. She had her first kid. Later on in the future, she was still with the same guy, Giovanni, and she ended up getting pregnant again, right? So she wanted to go to college and all this stuff. And even though she had gotten pregnant again, she was kind of happy, but yet sad because, people, it's going to be a struggle. And it's very hard to raise a child when you are a child yourself. And she was still going to school. She wanted to be in college. She wanted to be a singer or a fashion designer, right? So she got pregnant, and then she knew it was going to be hard for her because she didn't really have the money to obtain things for the baby, especially when she has a second child on the way. So she joined this group on Facebook called Help a Sister Out, I believe. This was 2019, around the April time or something like that. And then she had posted that she needed help because she's about to have a baby on May 10th of 2019, I believe, or something like around there. She was gonna have a baby, and then she didn't have money for clothes and all the extra stuff that babies are gonna need. So that Facebook group that she joined was basically a group of people that want to help each other, or mothers that want to help each other with hand-me-downs and things like that for people who are less fortunate, basically. So Marlen met a woman called Clarissa Figaro through the Facebook group, right? Clarissa said that she had extra clothes that her daughter, I believe her name was Desiree, her daughter had a baby, and she had extra clothes that the clothes doesn't fit the baby anymore, so she can have it. So one day, Clarissa invited Marlen over to her house to get the baby clothes, right? That she had promised her that they had extra. During that time, it was Clarissa, her daughter Desiree, and her boyfriend, I forgot his name. She jokingly had asked the daughter and the boyfriend if they wanted to, would they be willing to kill a pregnant lady and take the baby. Of course, at first, the daughter had said no. And the boyfriend, being asked that question, was very weary, and all this stuff was like, hey, what are you talking about? And after that, they said it was just an April Fool's joke. She was just kidding, blah, blah, blah. So Marlen had come over to the house, right? And as she was there, Desiree and Clarissa were acting kind of nervous, kind of weird, right? Kind of weird. So the boyfriend caught on to that and would see Clarissa and Desiree talking to each other, leaving the room, talking about themselves, acting kind of weird. And he came up to them and said, hey, if you attempt anything, I will call the police, blah, blah, blah. And Clarissa was like, we're not going to do anything, blah, blah, blah. So they gave Marlen the clothes. They went ahead and let her go home. And yeah, that was the end of it. At first, one day when Marlen was in school, she had received another text from Clarissa saying, hey, I have some more extra clothes if you want to stop by, so you can have more clothes for your baby. And of course, Marlen, being thinking Clarissa was a helpful person, trying to really help her out, nice, sweet person, said, yes, I'll head over there after school. So one day after school, around, I think it was around April, close to May, she had went over to Clarissa's, not knowing in store what was about to happen. So basically what had happened was Clarissa invited Marlen. Marlen came over that day after school and went over to Clarissa's house, came inside, and as I believe it was Desiree was talking to Marlen, talking to her, I guess just chit-chatting here and there, and Clarissa had came from behind her and grabbed some type of cord and wrapped it around her neck, right? Clarissa's just pulling on that cord as hard as she can. By some miracle, Marlen was able to put her hands underneath the cord to kind of like stop her from choking her. And that's when Clarissa got mad and told Desiree, you're not doing your job. After that, Desiree got up, grabbed her hands, and started taking her hands off the cord. And eventually, she was unalived. So, you think it'd end there? No, it's crazy, man. So, Marlen was killed by Clarissa and Desiree. And after that, Clarissa had the bright idea of actually cutting her womb open with a butcher's knife. Cut it open and actually basically C-section the baby out herself. Well, 10 minutes after that happened, they noticed that the baby was blue, couldn't breathe, all this stuff. So they called 911. They called 911 and explained that the baby was just born. She just had the baby at home, and then it's not breathing, it's blue, and all this stuff, right? So she made up this whole story about how the baby was hers. And what's crazy is that when she got to the hospital, Clarissa showed no signs of giving birth. She's a 46-year-old woman, showed no signs of giving birth, and the doctors didn't even check, right? They didn't even check that to see if she had actually given birth. Like, hey, I know you just had the baby. We have to check if you're okay or nothing like that. They just said, okay, that's your baby, blah, blah, blah. Well, they did that. She had the baby for a couple weeks, I believe. The baby ended up not making it just because of the injuries it had sustained, lack of oxygen and all that stuff, right? So the baby ended up not making it. And it's crazy because you can see Clarissa with pictures just holding the baby like she loved it and it was hers, blah, blah, blah. So the baby passed. Clarissa even set up a GoFundMe page for the baby, payment for the for the burial and all that stuff, right? For the medical expensive and all that. So during this time, Giovanni had been worried. That same day that Marlen was killed, Giovanni was worried because he had received a call from the preschool that his baby was in, the first child, that he had not been picked up that day. And Giovanni was like, well, that's strange because she always picks him up. So that is very weird. So he called looking around. They could not find it. Giovanni contacted Marlen's mother and father. They could not find Marlen at all. They couldn't find her anywhere they went. They had the worst possible scenarios in their head, right? Somebody could have kidnapped her. She could have committed an accident. Somebody could have killed her, something like that, right? So they called all the local hospitals, and nobody had no word of her. At this time, Giovanni tried to call the police, telling them that, hey, my wife is missing and she hasn't been seen. Can you guys start an investigation? Blah, blah, blah. And the police was like, well, we have to wait 72 hours before we can even start an investigation. So he was like all worried and all that stuff, and the police not doing nothing. And when, after a while, after I think it was the 72 hours and did all that stuff, he went to the police again, and the police were like, okay, so we have to start investigating you. So the police was questioning Giovanni, like if he had a motive to do that, to hurt her or anything like that, blah, blah, blah. This caused Marlen's family to actually turn on Giovanni. And Giovanni just like, dude, just fell out of the place. Like, how can you say that? I love my wife, blah, blah, blah. And just, it had like a falling apart on the family just because they got torn apart. Because the officers questioned him, and that can actually put a strain on the family, and the family's thinking the worst of him, right? So even after a while, they made him take a lie detector test and all this stuff, and they couldn't prove that it was him. The family is still looking and looking, and the police officer said still can't do nothing. So the family decided to hire a private investigator. It didn't take the private investigator that long to figure out that Marlen was actually talking to Ochoa. To, what was her name? Clarissa. Yeah, Clarissa. It didn't take him long to find out that she was talking to Clarissa through Facebook, and he saw all the messages and all this stuff, and saw like, hey, let's meet up here at this address, blah, blah, blah. So gathering all that information, the private investigator gave it to the family, and the family gave it to the police. And then the police actually showed up to Clarissa's house, right? I don't even think she had the baby that long. Clarissa, 2 weeks, all that stuff, maybe a couple days, I don't remember. But anyways, the police show up to the house. As soon as they get to the house, they find the cleaning substances and bleach and all that stuff, and blood, right? So basically, they found Clarissa's boyfriend cleaning up like a carpet or something like that, right? They did some more digging, some more investigating, and then they found Marlen's body in the trash can in the garage. That is insane, dude. Like, how do you just rip somebody open and just throw them in a trash can? That is crazy. And the way they found that she was dead. And then the officers were like, this can't be a coincidence because she's dead and there's a brand new baby. So what they did, they had to subpoena, I believe, some evidence from the hospital, the officers and stuff, the investigators, and they took blood samples from the baby and blood samples from Clarissa, and they eventually found out that the baby wasn't even hers. And then they used blood sample from the father, and they realized this baby is his. What's sad about it is that the baby didn't make it. When they found out he was dying, well, what can you do? The baby's dead, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Clarissa is still in jail. I believe she still hasn't been convicted. Or she just recently got convicted. And what was crazy about it, as Desiree was pregnant as well while she was in jail. Was she in jail? Or I think they weren't in jail. They were just like going to court and stuff like that. But I think the judgment has just recently passed. If I read correctly, they are getting sentenced for murder, right? And then Desiree actually had a baby, but she won't be able to see the baby because of she had done. And I'm okay with that. She doesn't deserve to have that baby, even if the baby is hers. She murdered somebody, and even if she didn't want to, she did it for her mother, which is freaking crazy. That lady is freaking insane, dude. That is crazy. Cutting somebody's womb open to take their baby. Oh, that is crazy. Oh man, R.I.P. to Marlen, and then I hope their family finds some comfort and everything, because that story is just insane, mind blowing, and oh my god, guys, I don't think I could I couldn't handle something like that. I mean, I probably could, but I'll be so freaking sad. And guys, let me know what you think of the stories down below. I appreciate you guys being here. Next time we're gonna talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. So I don't know yet. Maybe we'll have some fun stuff going on here. And I really need to get on my game, man. I really need to get on my game. I'm gonna start getting on my game. I've been doing a lot of modeling, guys, and it's been so fun, and it pays well, and I need to do more. So I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you want to watch another video, click on this right here, and you can watch more. And I'll see you guys next time. My hair's all messed up, bro. Jeez. But I've got them gains. Look at that. Got them Popeye arms.